Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh has been killed in Iran. The militant group has confirmed his death in a statement. And earlier, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps said he had been targeted in his residence in Tehran. IRGC said it is investigating the circumstances of the incident. In a statement, the Hamas group has mourned the death of Haniyeh. Hamas said he was killed in a treacherous Zionist raid on his residence in Tehran. Haniyeh was visiting Iran for the swearing-in of the new Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. He attended the swearing-in ceremony on Tuesday, and early this morning, his residence in Tehran was struck, resulting in his and one of his bodyguards' deaths. Iran's Revolutionary Guards said they were investigating the circumstances of the incident, as I mentioned earlier. Remember, 3 of Haniyeh's sons were killed in an airstrike in April. Haniyeh also lost 4 of his grandchildren in that attack. His sister was also eliminated last month. Haniyeh was Hamas' exiled political chief and had spent much of his time in recent years in Qatar. Ismail Haniyeh was officially the chair of the group's political bureau. He was appointed to the top job in 2017, but while he lived in exile, Yahya Sinwar acted as the leader of Hamas in Gaza and was reportedly the mastermind behind the October 7th attack on Israel. Haniyeh usually resided in Qatar, but his property was being used as a meeting place for other members of Hamas leadership. His Gaza residence was used as terrorist infrastructure, as per Israel, and was hit by an IDF airstrike in November. However, he was seen by many diplomats as a moderate compared to the more hardline members of Hamas who still reside in Gaza. And in recent months, Haniyeh acted as a negotiator in the Gaza ceasefire talks. Over the years, Haniyeh had a major hand in building up Hamas fighting capacity, partly by nurturing ties with Iran, where he has now been killed. All right, for more on this, we have our correspondent Jody Cohen joining us over the phone line. Jody, what led to this? And of course, as we know so far, no one has taken responsibility on this. What more do we know?
Good morning, Shivan. So just want to comment on what you said of Haniyeh being regarded as a moderate. So Israel would certainly not regard him, the #1 leader of Hamas, as a moderate after he oversaw the 7th of October massacre in Israel and numerous killings over the years. Now, what we know is that the Hamas leader, Ismail Haniyeh, was killed in Tehran in Iran, where he and Islamic Jihad were visiting Ayatollah Khamenei. No one has claimed responsibility for this strike, but it is known that Haniyeh was a target of Israel. As I said, he was the #1 in Hamas. Now, this follows the IDF strike on Tuesday, which targeted Hezbollah's #2, Fuad Shukar, who was in Beirut in Lebanon. Now, Hamas has called Haniyeh's killing a grave escalation and said that it won't have the results that Israel seeks. So they're certainly blaming Israel for this strike. Hamas says that they are in a war to liberate Jerusalem. In similar timing, the U.S. reportedly struck a base in Baghdad in Iraq, where several Iran-backed militia were said to have gathered, and this comes days after the Islamic resistance there resumed rocket attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria. So it's not yet clear who carried out this strike, but obviously many people will be looking at Israel.
Jody, what kind of impact do you reckon this will have on the ongoing war?
So this is likely to have a big impact on the war. Also, the killing of Fuad Shukar, the #2 of Hezbollah. He was a commander, a senior advisor to Hezbollah head Hassan Nasrallah. He was behind the Hezbollah attack in Majid Shams, which killed 12 children and injured dozens more. He was also wanted by the United States since the 1983 bombing, which killed 241 U.S. Marines. So, in terms of what's happening on the ground in Israel, IDF spokesperson Dan Hagari said that there are no changes of instructions to Israeli civilians, that the public should be vigilant. We've already seen on Wednesday a shooting and a stabbing attack on an Israeli in the West Bank, and we're likely to expect at some point a Hezbollah, Hamas, and perhaps an Iranian response too.
All right, Jody, thank you so much for joining in and getting us the latest. That was Jody Cohen getting us the latest from Ra'anana, Israel. I'd like to now move further. We are now being joined by Edward P. Joseph, who's a senior fellow at the Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies and Foreign Policy analyst from Washington, D.C. Mr. Joseph, always a pleasure speaking with you. I want to just instantly, understand this aspect of it. Everyone knows that Haniyeh was based in Qatar. Now, to carry out the assassination, of course, there has been no party has come forward and taken responsibility for it. Whoever did it, the fact that they chose to do it in Tehran instead of Qatar, what kind of messaging is this?
Well, first, also very good to be with you. And I'll tell you, it's very clear. If it was Israel, and of course you're correct in saying that we don't know that, but if we're operating on that assumption, Israel would not want to take out such a strike on Haniyeh and take him out in Qatar or, for example, in Turkey, where he also moved, because that would be extremely serious for Israel. It would alienate countries in which Israel has communication, however difficult at times, but Israel has communication. Iran is a sworn enemy of Israel, has vowed to destroy Israel. So it's completely logical that, again, if this was Israel, that it would take the opportunity to eliminate Haniyeh in Tehran. And then if we go further with this and examine the timing, it also is logical. It comes after another Iranian proxy, this time not Hamas, but Hezbollah, targeted a Druze village. And we should emphasize that this is Israel's response on behalf of Israeli citizens who are Druze, who are not Israeli Jews. These are Arabs. And Israel, acting on behalf of those citizens, those Druze citizens of Israel, took out, as your correspondent stated, Fuad Shukr in Beirut. And of course, this is another message to Iran that if it does not control its proxies, whether Hezbollah or Hamas, there will be a cost to be paid. And finally, just let me say what that cost is. This is hugely embarrassing for Iran. To hear this was done at the events of the inauguration of Mr. Pezeshkian, now the new president of Iran, with many foreign dignitaries present in Tehran. And for the Iranians to fail to be able to protect an obvious target, a clearly very obvious target in Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, is hugely embarrassing. And it's another signal to Tehran that if it was Israel, it shows Israel has the capabilities to penetrate Iranian intelligence. Please.
Mr. Joseph, now, if, the most obvious thing to think about next is what kind of reaction are we expecting, what kind of a fallout or what kind of consequences are we expecting? I'd like you to just weigh in on that from both fronts. How do you feel Hamas will be able to continue its war with Israel? And also, how do you feel Iran would be reacting to this? It is, if it is Israel or anyone else, it is a major embarrassment.
Yes, indeed. Let's take those two separately. For Hamas, we've seen, it's not me making this comment, we're reading comments of figures in Hamas and others who are knowledgeable about Hamas who say that this is a major blow to lose Haniyeh. And it will, of course, in terms of the actual operations on the ground, I don't believe we'll expect much change with respect to that, because we know that Sinwar is still calling the shots from safely ensconced in a tunnel in Gaza, and we should expect probably little change. The only question we would have is about the dynamics in the ceasefire talks.
Yes.
That are still being held, and it remains to be seen the kind of impact that would have. With respect to Iran, it does not, it of course does raise tensions. There's no question about that, but it doesn't necessarily lead to some type of escalation on the part of Iran. Iran has lost other figures, including senior military commanders, to Israeli strikes. And the bottom line is, it is not apparently in Iran's interest, as they deem it, to have a war with Israel. Iran prefers to keep these proxies at its disposal to allow these proxies to hit Israel, to strike shipping in the Red Sea. And that's what Iran likes to do and does not seem to want a direct confrontation with Israel. Please.
I get your point, Mr. Joseph. Thank you so much for joining in. That was Edward P. Joseph from Aspen, Colorado, Senior Fellow at Johns Hopkins University. Always a pleasure getting your insights on matters which are, of course, keen concern at the moment. Thank you.
You are.